A desert becomes a rainforest with the right gardener. And the best person to cultivate your life has always been yourself. You want to be in the orbit of the individuals that are transmitting the highest frequency of wisdom at all times. Define what your tombstone is going to read, and then reverse engineer your life from there.
Love Gangster with Adrian Boysel.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Love Gangster. I'm your host, Adrian Boysel, and today I have another great interview with a really, really great guest, Mr. Nik Halik. How you doing today?
Hey, Adrian, how you doing, man?
Good, very good. Good to have you here. Secretnaut's pretty amazing event, right?
Yeah, you know what? I was actually, it's probably, my first Secret was back in 2010 or 11.
Wow.
And I believe it was in Greg's house.
Yeah.
It was like 25, 30 individuals, a very intimate gathering.
I was just hearing about that last night.
Yeah, so this is like, what, 14 years?
Yeah, I think it's the 16th year or something.
Yeah, so we remain very, very close friends. So this is actually my first time back since probably 2017.
You've been a little busy.
Well, you know what? I'm the world's foremost vagabond. I travel around the world. I mean, I build different companies and brands. That's what I do. And I deploy good quarterbacks in good organizations and companies,
Great.
and I simply oversee things from afar.
Nice.
And that enables me to basically accomplish, and work on my lifestyle, which is traveling every country on the planet, completing the 8 summits of the world, skiing the last 1 degree of the North Pole, the South Pole. And obviously I'm working on my next goal, which is to basically walk across the earth. So I'm going to start in Cape Town, and I'm going to start in Cape Town. I'm going to walk north to the top of Africa, into the Middle East, and then walk east across Russia to the Pacific Ocean. So it'll be the longest walk ever in history. No one's been sane enough to even attempt it.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to be averaging about 30 miles a day. And it's going to probably take me about 588 days.
Just a little more, like a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half. I have a lot to think about. You're always going to find me in, the sunny side of the mountain, for example. I'm a very buoyant individual. I love the effervescence of life. And I like to just, work and build and, add value to whatever I do.
Well, Les Brown says live full, die empty, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it sounds like that's your MO. So
Yeah.
well, for those that don't know you well, that have maybe never seen you or heard from you, give us a little bit more background about what's your history, what's your career look like, and
Originally, I actually came to so I'm actually Greek, raised in Australia. I came to the United States when I was 17. So I had my first business at age 14.
wow.
Had a music school. I was a guitarist, and I was sold at school for $30,000. And with that 30 grand, it was my original seed money. And I came to Los Angeles. I landed in LAX, Hollywood, California, and I was a hard gun for a number of bands. So I was a lead guitarist in quite a few rock bands. Toured around the world, absolute decadence. About 12 years, 4,000 gigs. And left the industry in the year 2000. And then I applied to become an astronaut through NASA. So imagine this
That's
long hair.
yeah, a lot of hair, rock stars. Yeah.
But this, and I should probably like reverse engineer and sort of double check a little bit here. Like, my premise in life was my original screenplay that I wrote down as a young 8-year-old. And I wrote down things like becoming a rock star, traveling around the world, owning homes around the world, having lunch on a shipwrecked Titanic, visiting more than 100 countries, becoming an astronaut, living on a space station and walking on the moon. These were lofty goals of a young 8-year-old. Why?
Yep.
Because as an 8-year-old, I mean, you're fearless. You have this false sense of invincibility. You have this Kevlar vest that you can do whatever you want in the world, So,
Yep.
so by default, I mean, by writing down my goals, spoken words evaporate, but written words leave impressions.
Absolutely.
I drafted my screenplay with nothing to lose, and I internalized it. So, being my screenplay, I've been the actor, the producer, and the director of my own screenplay since age 8. And that young 8-year-old inside me is still my mentor that holds me accountable to those goals. So
So
40 plus years later, I'm still working on completing those top 10 listed goals that the young 8-year-old inside me actually wrote, So,
wow. So you accomplished the astronaut thing, right?
correct, yeah. But I've already been to suborbit, edge of space kind of thing. I'm working on an orbital flight now to live on a space station for 6 months. So going back to, so I left the music industry, right?
Yeah.
Applied to NASA. I didn't have a college degree, so they declined me.
Yeah.
So instead, I went to the Russians instead.
Ah.
And the Russians have a very formidable space program. And what I didn't realize was a lot of NASA astronauts also train in Russia because the ISS, the International Space Station,
Yeah.
is a Russian design but American funded.
Okay.
So every American astronaut has to learn how to speak, read, and write Russian. So
That's hilarious.
I joined the Russian space program.
Wow.
And by default, NASA had to accept me.
You found the loophole.
I found the loophole, absolutely.
That's
I am resilient, you know what I mean?
That's
I
right.
got every sign of retreat, and I would give myself permission to succeed at all times.
Well, it's like Alex Stern said this morning, and no is just not right now.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. The door will always be ajar. You just got to pivot and exhibit behavioral flexibility
Yeah.
and adjust your pitch and angle, just like anything in life, kind of thing.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm stubborn enough
Yeah.
to, and the way I live my life, I redline everything.
Yeah.
I am all in.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you live in that abundance mindset, and I think that's a really powerful thing to have, which a lot of people are not walking around with that.
no,
Right?
absolutely.
They weren't raised with that. They were programmed a completely different way.
Oh, look, I mean, you only become formidable when you've actually, faced a lot of challenges. Like for me, I was medically confined to my bedroom. I was a very sick child, for
Oh,
example.
really?
So, I was always faced with adversity. As an entrepreneur, the amount of times that I've been stuck in a cul-de-sac,
Well, that's right.
and
That's literally my whole conversation at lunch.
yeah, and it's like, you've got to strengthen your resolve. You've got to basically, once again, exhibit that flexibility. I mean, look, be stubborn on your vision, but be flexible on the details.
Mm-hmm. That's
know,
right.
and-
The bullseye doesn't change, but how you get
Absolutely.
there, right? How you
Yeah.
get there can look
And
different.
we are the result of every decision we make in our lives. You know what I mean? So for me, you know, um, I know my strengths. I know my skill set. I'll always highlight my strengths and also source my weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
So what I do, I mean, I'm all about lifestyle. Experiential elements of life.
Okay.
My last book is The 5-Day Weekend. It became a Wall Street Journal best-selling book. And the premise was to add 3 more days to your weekend. And that's been my lifestyle for over 25 years.
Wow.
So I spend 6 months of the year in the United States, 3 months of the year I'm in the Greek islands on a yacht, cruising the Mediterranean. And 3 months of the year during the winter months are more equatorial, and I spend my time in the Caribbean, for example. So I know how to balance my life
Yeah.
because for me, it's more fun, more freedom, more fulfillment,
Yeah.
and more quality time with family and friends.
Wow.
Everything else is irrelevant.
So a lot of people, that especially didn't grow up in America, they have a really money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? All that programming that we hear as a kid growing up. What are the limiting beliefs that you feel like you never really adopted that allowed you to build the wealth and
Yeah,
kind of live the lifestyle that you've been able to live? Because ultimately, your core value is freedom.
yeah, definitely.
That's the big thing,
yes.
right? That's the driving force if you peel back all the layers. So what was it wealth-wise that allowed you to have the resources to be able to have the freedom that you have?
Well, first of all, the creative adult is a child who survived.
Whoa.
Survived for all the conditioning, the indoctrination, and the brainwashing, for example. And because I never experienced academia in my first 10 years of life,
Okay.
I educated myself.
Yeah.
I had the Encyclopedia Britannica, which had no limitations. It
Exactly.
just provided a screenshot of the outside world.
Yeah.
Now, from a child living in his bedroom,
Yeah.
medically confined because of debilitating illnesses, for example, I planned my strategy. I planned my assault
That's right.
in relation to how I was going to combat every adversary in my life, kind of thing. So I know for a fact that for me, money is just it's a utility to basically fund the lifestyle.
Right.
Everything revolves around your lifestyle.
Correct.
And the way I balance my life is I get paid to think. Because those who get paid to work for those who get paid to think.
That's right.
My book, The 5-Day Weekend, is all about teaching individuals how to get paid to think.
I love that.
Exploring that cerebral faculty, that capacity, for example,
Yeah.
and value factor. That's what I do. I value factor. I value factor lives. I value factor real estate. I value factor portfolios. I value factor ideas. And I bring the right team into an ecosystem and we bring it to market, for example. And because I travel the globe, I've been to 170 countries thus far.
Wow.
So I want to be at the confluence of every intersection of trends in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So I know what's developing worldwide because I travel so often.
All over the world. Yeah. See the
And I'm not myopic. There's no level of fiscal or stigmatism in the way I approach life.
Yeah.
So for me, I know how to execute. I know how to basically build business plans, bring in the right teams, and then deploy into the marketplace, for example.
Find the talented people, right? It's
Absolutely.
about leverage, right? Business.
Yeah.
They
And I
all
invest in
come
people.
leverage.
Products and services can always be improved.
That's right.
People don't improve. I invest in people.
There's a common trend and thread that happens throughout all people who are doing incredible things in the world like yourself. They've gone through a lot of adversity, whether it's health, traumas, whatever.
And I love those challenges. I wouldn't change one thing about it.
Yeah. Why would you, right?
Yeah.
It makes you who you are, right?
Yeah.
The common thread that's woven through that is the challenges and traumas that you either become better or you give up and, tuck your tail between your legs and you run, right? I used to think for the longest time, well, I'm high school dropout, it wasn't by choice, but high school dropout, abusive home, all these things that happened to my life that made me who I am today, which I am now very grateful for. But I thought anybody can do what I'm doing,
Yeah.
right? But as I've gotten older, I've realized that not everybody can do it. Not everybody's cut out
Yeah.
to do what you've done. Everybody's come out to live and think and act and operate in the mindsets that you have. And so you're given this special gift for people who do have that big dream and know that they were made for, because that's the thing for me. I had that inner voice inside of me my whole life, which I know now is God, right? That voice of God was speaking in me at a very young age, told me that I was going to do something incredible with my life. Did I know that it would be this and it would be this kind of, and had no idea. It's 10 times.
And let me tell you this, you obviously had a very, very strong EQ.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say like with emotional intelligence, like,
Yeah.
and I encourage, any parents listen to this right now, overdose your children on EQ.
That's it.
Because that's a rebound to your life.
That's exactly right.
You build the IQ on top of EQ. It's like, think of like a skyscraper. They're going to spend 3-4 years on the basement on the underground car park.
That's right.
Then they could basically add one story every week, for example.
That's right.
So EQ, which is like, self-esteem, belief system, that pride, for example,
That's right.
a little meritocracy, just that drive, I mean, that is what EQ is all about. And that's what you basically, you've been emboldened with, for example.
Exactly. And so having that voice inside you is like, you're going to do something great. And
you're
then just
gonna get it done.
continuing to,
Exactly,
and no matter what comes your way, it's like, cool. And I'm going to,
embrace the challenges, fail fast, but fail cheaper, for example,
that's
learn those valuable lessons,
that's right.
I mean, the cradle of every mistake lies the roots of all success, for example,
Yep.
So go at them. I mean, like expose yourself to like a wide tapestry of niches and companies in the marketplace.
That's right.
And once you find and hone a new skill set, then drill deeper, for example.
I have same gift of being able to spot the patterns and the trends that are coming.
Absolutely.
Whether it was Pokemon cards or Beanie Babies as a kid, everything turned into a business for me. It's just how I am to even still today.
There are distinctions in everything that you do. And there are far more distinctions in the failures, for example.
That's right.
And I've been there, and I embrace those mistakes and failures, for example.
That's right.
I mean, my life is just, I've been burdened with injuries,
Yeah.
physical and financial. But,
That's right.
I embrace it, and I think it's just forged that fortitude that I basically bring to the world these days.
Well, I was telling a close brother of mine at lunch, like when you have those hills and you have the valleys, right? You have the hills and the valleys of your life. What you do in that valley has that reverb effect of the equal and opposite reaction.
Absolutely.
And if you're investing in yourself and you're doing the deep work and you're doing the introspection, you're doing the things that you need to do in that valley, then when you come out of that, the rebound is just exponential. I mean, it's so
your rebound is generated in economic winters.
That's exactly right.
And then you basically save your harvest in economic summer.
And that's where I'm at right now is, this is just an example of the fruit that's coming from all the hard work during those valleys that I've had throughout my life. And, some of them get really, really deep. And one of my mentors told me that, what are you going to do in this season of your life right now so that when you're done with this, that you're proud of yourself?
Absolutely.
And at the moment, because I was going through such hardship and through so much suffering and pain, which is all, all in our mind, I realized, I was like, man, as much as I'm angry at him for not being empathetic and being here with me in this crap right now, he's sitting with me in this, he's telling me, trying to give me his prosperity and his, everything's going to be great. You got to be proud of yourself. Like, I just wanted somebody to sit there with me. But then after it was over, I was like, wow, that was the best piece of advice, because it kind of gave me that spark that I needed to just double down and do everything that it took to show up.
And Adrian, look, a desert becomes a rainforest with the right gardener. And the best person to cultivate your life has always been yourself, for example.
That's right.
You know when to basically plant the seeds and, reap the harvest. But at all times, be fertilizing the mind. Be fertilizing your ecosystem of friends, for example,
That's right. The relationships.
And having like a criteria, for example, like, and basically it's like you want to be in the orbit of individuals that are transmitting the highest frequency of wisdom at all times.
That's right.
And that's how you basically just, raise the scale of your game, for example, and what basically, the products that you bring to the marketplace.
Exactly. Well, my mentor, one of my first mentors ever, he said the world is driven by three things: vanity, greed, and love.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, vanity and greed are the two biggest ones. Love doesn't really come first in many occasions, in many situations. And so for your world, right, the Thrillionaire, like, I want to hear, like, how'd you come up with that? What is your mindset towards money? Like, it's an energy, right? You see it as a tool and just a way to get to the lifestyle that you want. But I have a feeling that there's a bigger picture for you, kind of a global picture and something beyond yourself, right?
Yeah.
Of you just having this lifestyle that you want. What is it that's driving you?
For me, I love adding value. The more you add value, the more, and look, the way I see it is like, value is everything. You add value to some person's life, I mean, there's a law of reciprocity there.
Oh yeah, it's powerful.
And that is emotionally profitable.
That's right.
That's the most important component just there. I add value to everything that I do.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's what drives me.
Okay.
When it comes to like living, for example, I don't want to die at 25 and get buried at 75, for example.
That's right.
I redline everything that I do in my life.
Beautiful.
I go all in.
Yep.
So
Burn the
that's
ships.
why I live a very extreme life.
Mm-hmm.
And, is it a very dangerous lifestyle? Yes. I mean, I was in North Korea just recently, the next couple of months I'm going to be in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah,
Why? Because I'm crossing down every country in the world,
that's right.
you know?
Yep.
Uh, but that's just me. I mean, it's like, I do whatever it takes and, I fund my lifestyle.
Mm,
And there are lessons in every country,
that's right.
in every travel,
What would you say for this year? What has been the biggest lesson for you?
I mean, I lost my mother recently,
Oh, I'm sorry.
so I've now lost both my parents, for example, and I think the most important thing there is like, what is your legacy? What is your real legacy going to be?
That's right.
And I tell the listeners right now, define what your tombstone is going to read, and then reverse engineer your life from there.
That's been, taking apart radios to figure out how they work. That's reverse engineering is
Yeah.
really my biggest business gift, is figuring out how things work and figuring out what's the goal and moving my way backwards.
No, absolutely, definitely.
That's
And
neat.
at times, seek solitude in your life as well too.
Yep.
Work in silence.
That's true.
Allow the noise of your success to basically amplify your signal in the marketplace.
That's right.
And solitude is great because, you become more reflective, more introspective, and you're able to streamline things a lot better in your life kind of thing. So, seek that time out so you can aerate and ventilate,
That's right.
I mean, with social media, like, I recall 2020,
Yeah.
it was a very theatrical and very histrionic year
For sure.
with a lot of ill-informed commentaries,
Totally.
and I just opted out. I deleted all my apps,
Smart.
but I used that time to just reflect, and you need it at times.
That's 100%. You got to disconnect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I did some of that in 2022
No,
myself.
absolutely, because you realize
Sure.
that a lot of humanity is basically, drowning in information, but being starved of wisdom.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
from
And
there-
or experience. Right.
Yeah.
They're not even actually out there living. They're just behind the screen.
Technologically connected, but emotionally disconnected.
That's right.
I mean, it's like, I can understand with, business and what have you, but there are parts where you need to just like check out a little bit and,
right.
just unsubscribe for a period of time
Yep.
and then come back at the right timing, for example.
That's
And
good.
so-
Timing is very important. So philanthropically, I know that you have a lot going on that. Give me a little bit of background. What are you doing philanthropically? What are you working on? What can people support?
Yeah, definitely. I'm all about endangered species.
Really?
Yeah, not so much about humanity. There's enough humans on the planet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm all about endangered species.
Is there one animal in particular?
Well, for me, I love animals. Like
Yeah.
I own a zorse. You know what a zorse is?
No. Oh, it's a zebra horse?
Hard zebra and horse. Yeah,
Yep.
I have zorse. I have Galapagos tortoises.
Wow.
I have giants. My tortoises about they weigh about 600 pounds.
Wow.
They're over 150 years of age, for example. I've got alpacas, I've got goats, I've got
I love
dogs.
alpacas. They're-
I've got camels. I've grown up like that with animals because
Yep.
growing up as a young 10-year-old, for example, I didn't have the opportunity of being at school and meeting friends.
Yep.
I never had my first friend outside of my family until about age 10.
Wow.
So my escapism in my first 10 years of life was animals.
Yep.
And I remember when I was medically confined to my house, we had a park across the road from where we lived in a place called Port Melbourne in Australia, Melbourne, and I used to have a babysitter.
Yeah.
And I would know where she sleeps. Then I would sneak across the road to the park, and there was a whole bunch of stray dogs. And I would spend my couple of hours like playing with the stray dogs.
Yeah.
And then I will sneak back to the house, back to my bedroom.
Wow.
So, for me, it's just definitely endangered species.
How
You know,
cool.
So we have Galapagos tortoises. I'm part of a breeding program.
Yeah.
To energize their numbers, for example, because once again, they're close to extinction, for example. So I do what I can to preserve.
It's beautiful. So when you're a kid, or when you're an adult, you look back on your childhood and you go, man, if I just knew this when I was a kid, I could have done this and I could have done that. For those, because I work a lot with youth and I have a lot of youth that follows me, what advice would you have given to your 10-year-old self, knowing everything you know now, living, experiencing, helping, and just trekking into territories that most people will never even dream of doing in their life? What advice would you give to that 10-year-old?
Yeah, I would say, don't allow allow any other person's opinion to define your reality. Basically, just pave your own path, for example,
Yep.
a well-worn path isn't necessarily the right path to follow in life. Sometimes you need to change the polarity of your thinking, change the polarity of your friendship,
That's right.
because at the end of the day, it's like, let's be honest about this. No one really cares about you. Your parents are biologically programmed to like you. Your siblings are biologically obligated to like you.
Yeah.
Most individuals do have an agenda.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about you. I would say, you know, you need to be independent
100%.
and never be reliant on anybody but yourself.
Amen to that. That
You
I
know,
agree.
because if you don't appease yourself, you're obligating yourself to the rest of the world.
Yeah, you got to make,
You
you
know,
got to take care of
and
number one.
when I say that too, like, you know, two most important days in your life.
I said
You
that in my speech.
you have to define that the day you're born and the
Yeah.
day you discovered why you were born.
That's right.
You know, you need to define what that why is.
Right.
And no one but you can define what that why
It's
is.
true.
And that's what I'm saying is it's all up to you. Be independent.
I love that.
You know, and once you really hone in on that, then become a lighthouse, be a beacon of light, and then inspire others, for example, because you need to learn and adapt that wisdom. Then you can be a case study, for example, for others to adhere to. And then you can basically shape their life by manufacturing their lives.
Value factoring. I like that. So who are the biggest, what would you say, just give me one, who was one mentor in your life that really just made a significant
That's an easy one. When I was 17, I landed in Hollywood, California.
Yeah.
Week 2, I ran into a person called Bob Proctor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Bob Proctor, this is me. I'm age 17.
Makes sense now.
Went to one of his events. I sat in the front row, and he was quite taken by me. And at the end, I just like I approached him and I go, listen, I think you're all, you know, like
Yeah.
I was in awe of this guy because he just I think just everything about him, just he spoke to me. He spoke to my soul. You know what I mean?
Radiant
And
gratitude.
he took me under his wing. He gave me 2 books that day. One was Think and Grow Rich,
Yep.
Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
Another book was from Bob Proctor, which was You're Born Rich. So Bob Proctor when I was age 17, took me under his wing and became my mentor and coach. You know, so
What a blessing.
I was very fortunate before he passed away. I actually I've done a lot of events worldwide,
Yeah.
and I launched Bob Proctor in about 4 different countries that he's never ever spoken in.
Wow.
So I got to speak on stage with my mentor, toured around the world with him. And so, yeah, I mean, like, look, his thinking allowed me to really just, you know, sharpen that entrepreneurial axe, for example,
Absolutely.
you know. And yeah, it was a phenomenal experience just to be in
Dude.
the presence of my mentor. So,
That's incredible. It
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. Mentorship is why I'm here. So
seek that counsel at all times, you know.
beautiful. Well, with that all being said, I like to end every episode with a challenge.
Okay,
Who do you want to challenge and what do you want to challenge them to go do to make somebody else's life better?
definitely. I would say, you know, like not seeking accolades, just go out there and help individuals at all times. Do you know what I mean? Like ask
Yeah.
them, like, you know, how are you really feeling? How are you really doing financially?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do to assist you, you know, to, you know, nurture your current dilemma, for example?
Yep.
So for me, I love that because I'm providing a solution to other people's problems.
What's your what's your go-to? What's the first thing that you usually do with somebody when you see somebody that's in need?
I define exactly where they're at.
So
You know?
discovery.
Yeah. So whether it's, you know, if they're in financial despair, I'll help them to stop digging, you know, because effectively it's like,
That
You know,
is digging.
you know, time is important.
Yep.
You know, you want to be able to exploit times for the other great times.
Yep.
But for me, once again, I provide solutions to their issues, for example, you know.
Yep.
And I find a lot of individuals, a lot of it stems from, you know, those the financial impasse on
Absolutely.
their lives, you know. And then once you're able to like restore some calibration, some harmonic balance,
Yep.
then you can start to seek a lot more, you know, in relation to pursuits for happiness and travel and,
Yeah.
you know, fulfillment, for example, you know.
Well, so it sounds like the challenge for you then is to help somebody go get objectivity about their life and just to
Yeah.
be there with them and hold the space.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Provide some, you know, some good truth in relation to the matter still, yeah.
So go form a new relationship or help somebody that you already have an existing relationship. Challenge them, give them some objectivity, and maybe just hold some space for them. That's your guys' challenge. We want to hear back from you. Tag us on social media. Drop a comment down on the video. Let us know how it went, how it's going. We look forward to hearing back. Make sure you do that. Like, if you're swimming with the fishes, capiche? All right, that's the interview. Thank you so
Cheers,
much.
Adrian. Cheers,
Nik
man.
Halik, yes, thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next episode. I'm Adrian Boysel, and as always, keep looking out.
Came here to fill the void. I am love. I am peace. I am joy that can never be destroyed. I am